Hi everyone. I'm sweating. I'm excited to do this episode. Welcome. Welcome to Ink and Insights. Today is the quote. It started from the quote of recognizing is half the battle. These past few months, I've been in this constant debate with myself. I've been constantly questioning myself whenever I did something or whenever I do something. I always rethink or just reflect if am I doing this for me or am I doing this to people please? And most of the time, I get too caught up in the moment and I don't reflect. And so it's an instinct in me, in my brain, in my body, in my brain mostly, to react from a place of wanting to please people. Every single time I question myself, who even am I? What do I really want for my life? Who am I really not? Who am I when behind closed doors? Who am I when I'm not people pleasing? Those types of questions. I've been so out of touch with myself for my whole life, for years, that I don't even know which parts of me are real and authentic, which actions or behaviors are real or fake. And social media is the biggest factor of that. Okay, we're not going to delve deep into that, but long story short, it's a cycle in there. It's a cycle of constantly comparing myself to others or not even giving a damn or doing things to people please. Always thinking about what people may think about me. The constant cycle of that. It's draining. It gets draining. Sometimes, especially when it comes to a lot of social media accounts, you can really just cleanse. Nothing's holding you back from cleansing your followers, your friends, but it's a constant battle in the head. It's so hard. It's much harder than people would say, or a lot of advice. A lot of advice would say, if you want peace of mind, you cleanse your social media. So much easier said than done. Okay, every person is, familiar. Because I live in such a small town, so every person is familiar, and every person that I follow is like kind of not we've been in the same school and stuff, but I don't really know them personally. We kind of know each other, so if there's maybe an unfollow or removal of them, it's probably gonna. I don't know. I think like there might be a bit of a like, oh, why did she unfollow me or something? But I think that's also just me being in my own head and also constantly thinking of what others are thinking. I think people are also they have their own lives. They're also caught up in their own lives. So maybe an unfollow or an unfriend might not mean as much, but it's not about that. So my people pleasing trait really needs to be addressed. Like I thought I was over it. I thought I was over my people pleasing trait, but it was just hidden. I just hid it. I shoved it down somewhere in me, and unconsciously I respond from that place in certain situations, in certain conversations. And so with that trait of mine, my people pleasing trait, I tend to unconsciously as well tie my worth to what other people think of me. But, however, I'm here to tell you that recognizing is half the battle. It's really, really half the battle. Because I am aware of these traits of mine. For years, I've been aware that, maybe not I fully aware, but I know that there's a possibility that I have this people pleasing trait. I tend to look for validation on other people. But even if I was aware of these traits, I can't seem to pinpoint which part of my life they're coming from. Because I was not asking the right questions when I reflect. I think a lot. That's, yeah. I think a lot about life, about my actions, what I really want. I think a lot. Also, I think a lot about these traits of mine, but it's just, get frustrated because I don't ask the right questions, and so it doesn't get properly recognized and addressed. It just keeps getting shoved off because I get too frustrated that I can't really find the solution. Also, maybe I get too in denial. I'm too in denial that I'm not the person I expected to be. I have these traits that is not. I don't like these traits, basically, and so it gets brushed off, shoved off, hidden, not properly addressed. So, the same as when you suppress emotions, it just persists out on random times or in moments that you don't expect. And it takes a lot of realization. It takes a lot of moments of realization and recognition to get to this state of mind, to arrive into this state of mind. This is a hard thing to, it took me some bit of time, some bit of acceptance that self-growth isn't about fixing what you think are your bad attributes or bad traits. It's more about accepting them, working through life with them. You recognize your trait, your flaws, your behavior and your acts, and you allow them to take space in you. This is also not about rationalizing a bad or in a negative way of living life, such as my people pleasing trait and my and to look for validation in others, that I tend to hurt other people. Those are traits. It's not about rationalizing them. You recognize them, you understand and know where they came from, you adjust them. Because those are the types of traits that does not need to be fed. You create a new voice that represents your true, real, authentic self, and that's what you feed. This people pleasing trait of mine and this looking for validation of mine, these are things I need to work on myself. I need to understand or rewire my brain so that how I act in situations or how I respond to conversations doesn't come from a place of people pleasing and validation seeking. There's this recent person that I've talked to, there's this recent person that I've talked to, and he really made me realize this about myself. There was this time that we talked about, he asked me if I was open to relationships or not, and I said no. I don't think so. I really don't want anymore. And I know now why I'm not. I thought about my past. I thought about the people I've talked to in the past, and I was reflecting on that and thinking about that, and I realized, no, I don't think I'm looking for love. I think I'm just looking for validation of my worth, because I've attached my worth to being liked. And so really, really, really thought about it, and I realized that I think really that was the case. That's why people that I've talked to, the talking stages and stuff, the situationships, they never really worked because I really was not open to finding love, to finding someone to love, to finding someone to love me. I was just looking for validation. I was trying to validate my worth by being liked. And that's also just not with my talking stages, also from acquaintances and my social media. I look for validation of being like that. That comes from a place of, I don't know what part of my childhood that developed from. That's something I really need to, not like pressuring myself, but something that I need to work on myself. And I need to stop looking for that validation from other people because I tend to just hurt them. I tend to hurt other people because I was just looking for validation and they were looking for love and I couldn't give that. And so I just hurt them. So really, self-growth is just, it's about recognizing and knowing, addressing your traits, why you act this way, what part of me made me act this way, and accepting them. There are some of your traits that you don't really need to constantly change. You don't need to constantly change yourself. Actually, you don't need to change to perfect yourself. You just have to know that in order to get this and that, to do this and that, you need to have certain conditions. Recognize that this is who I am and allow yourself to be vulnerable. But in the end, you accept your traits. You accept who you are. Anyway, speaking of my, the people I've talked to before, I also really struggle with being vulnerable. What am I doing with my hands? I struggle with being vulnerable around other people. So that's also why none of my talking stages work, because I was too scared of being vulnerable. So I tend to not show the ordinary sides of me, the not so perfect sides of me. And so I always felt like my guard was always up around them. And so that led me to be uncomfortable with them, and I feel unsafe with them. That's why I give it up, which is not their issue. That was a trait of mine that I'm still trying to figure out if I know. A trait of mine that I'm trying to accept, that it's just hard for me to be vulnerable around people, like even my friends. I'm telling you, it took me years to show them, well, I'm not gonna beat myself up with it. I don't have to be vulnerable around people I'm not comfortable being vulnerable. Oh, I guess it's just something I need to accept with myself. And I also need to bear in mind to not hurt others with this trait. And I've recently, since I've come to recognize these traits of me, I've also tried to find ways on how to work through them, because I can't do it alone. I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube, a lot of pep talks on YouTube, just videos about like coming home to yourself. For years and years of people pleasing, you come home to yourself. It's really been helpful. Like, I've never felt so seen and understood. I learned from it that there'll always be these critics in your head, voices in your head say all these negative things about you, and they're never going to go away. It is up to you. It is your choice, really, to let or to keep feeding these voices. It's your choice. And you have the choice to create a new voice that represents your real authentic self. And you feed that. I realize how much impact to the content you take in, how much impact it is to me, the content that I take in personally. And this is going to be an ongoing, I think it will always be an ongoing journey to discover yourself, to discover who you really are. And you have a whole lifetime to do that. And the first step I'm going to take in this discovery of mine is to constantly sit with myself, to constantly sit with myself and think, what do I really want? Ask the right questions, find the right questions, so that I can figure out what I really want. And hopefully it doesn't come, and not hopefully, but try to not make it come from a place of people pleasing. It's really important that we talk to other people. There's that. Thank you for listening. Until next time, until whenever, lovingly, Jonna.